In a cozy little village nestled beside a whispering river, lived a kind-hearted boy named Leo. His eyes sparkled like the morning dew, and his smile was as warm as the summer sun. Leo didn't have many toys or fancy clothes, but he had something far more precious: a heart full of compassion for every creature, big or small. He loved to spend his days exploring the emerald fields, talking to the chirping crickets, and watching the fluffy clouds drift by. If a tiny ladybug got stuck on its back, Leo would gently help it flip over. If a flower drooped its head, he'd make sure it got a drink of water from his cupped hands. His world was a canvas of kindness, and he painted it with small, loving actions every single day. One breezy afternoon, as Leo was skipping along the riverbank, humming a happy tune, he heard a faint, distressed cheep-cheep. It wasn't the usual cheerful song of the birds. This sound was weak, full of sadness. Leo paused, his brow furrowing with concern, and listened intently. The sound came from a thick patch of reeds near the water's edge. Carefully, Leo parted the tall green stalks, his heart thumping like a drum. There, tangled amongst a few broken twigs, was a tiny baby swallow. Its feathers were ruffled, and one of its delicate wings was bent at an awkward angle. The little bird shivered, its tiny eyes wide with fear and pain. "Oh, you poor thing," Leo whispered, his voice soft and full of worry. He recognized it as a swallow, one of the swift, graceful birds that danced in the sky above his village. This one was far too young to be alone, and clearly in trouble. He knew he couldn't just walk away. The little creature needed a friend, a helper. Very, very gently, Leo scooped up the tiny bird in his hands. It was so small, no bigger than his thumb, and felt incredibly fragile. He could feel its little heart beating a frantic rhythm against his palm. "Don't worry, little one," he murmured. "I'll help you." He looked closely at its injured wing. It wasn't broken, but it was definitely sprained and unable to fly. The little swallow, which Leo decided to call Sky, nestled into his warm hands, seemingly understanding that he meant no harm. The warmth and gentle touch must have felt like a safe harbor in a storm of fear. Leo carefully carried Sky home. His small house was simple, but always filled with warmth and the smell of his mother's cooking. His parents, seeing the injured bird, were not surprised by Leo's tender rescue. They knew their son's kind nature. "We'll make a little nest for him," his mother suggested, fetching a soft, clean cloth. His father brought a tiny bowl of fresh water. Their home, already full of love, had just enough room for one more tiny, beating heart. It was a team effort, a family of helpers for the little Sky helper. Leo spent the rest of the afternoon making Sky comfortable. He fashioned a cozy bed out of cotton wool in a small woven basket. He painstakingly mashed a few tiny berries and offered them to Sky, who, after a moment of hesitation, pecked at them with a tiny beak. 4 days, Leo was Sky's devoted nurse. He kept the basket warm, changed the water, and fed the little swallow tiny bits of food, making sure it was never hungry. He would whisper encouraging words to Sky, telling it stories of the big blue sky and the joyful freedom of flight. Slowly, ever so slowly, Sky's wing began to heal, and its chirps grew stronger, filled with more hope and less fear, thanks to Leo's unwavering care. A beautiful bond was forming, a friendship between a boy and a bird, built on trust and a promise of the sky. Thanks for watching. If you loved Leo and Sky's story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more heartwarming adventures. See you next time. Days turned into weeks, and with Leo's tender care, Sky the swallow grew stronger every day. Its tiny wing, once sprained, now twitched with renewed energy. Soon, Sky wasn't just hopping. It was taking short, wobbly flights across Leo's cozy room. Leo would laugh with delight, his eyes sparkling as Sky zipped from his bedpost to the windowsill, chirping happily. "You're getting so good, Sky," he'd whisper, holding out a piece of fruit, which the swallow would delicately peck from his fingers. But as summer's warmth began to fade, a chill crept into the air. The vibrant green leaves on the old oak tree outside Leo's window blushed with gold and fiery red. The village grew quieter, preparing for autumn. Leo noticed changes in Sky too. The swallow, once content to flit about the room, now spent more time on the windowsill, gazing longingly at the vast, open sky. It would chirp a different, more urgent song, its head cocked as if listening to a distant call. One crisp afternoon, Leo watched a flock of swallows gather high above the river, swirling and dancing in the fading sunlight. They were preparing for their long journey south, where the sun would keep them warm. A pang of sadness tightened Leo's chest. He knew what Sky's restless chirps and longing glances meant. His friend, though healthy and strong, was a creature of the sky, and the sky was calling it home. Leo carried Sky outside, his heart feeling both heavy and light. He walked to the edge of their garden, where the golden sunlight warmed his face. "You have to go, don't you, Sky?" he whispered, his voice wobbly. Sky looked up at him with its bright, intelligent eyes, then chirped softly, as if understanding. Leo gently cupped the bird in his hands, feeling its tiny heart beat a quick rhythm. "Go with your family, Sky. Fly free and be safe. But promise me, ... promise you'll come back when spring arrives, okay?" He opened his hands, and with a powerful beat of its mended wings, Sky launched into the air. Sky circled once, twice, a beautiful dark silhouette against the autumn sky, as if waving goodbye. Then, with a final, joyful chirp, it soared upwards, joining the swirling flock. Leo watched until Sky was just a tiny speck, then disappeared. A tear trickled down his cheek, but a smile soon followed. He knew he had done the right thing. He would miss Sky terribly, but the thought of its return filled him with a quiet hope. Winter came and went, painting the village in shades of white and gray. Leo often looked out his window, remembering Sky, and sometimes he'd draw pictures of swallows soaring high. Then, slowly, the snow melted. The days grew longer, and tiny green shoots poked through the softened earth. Spring had arrived. The trees began to bud, and the sweet scent of blossoms filled the air. Leo spent his afternoons by the river, watching for familiar wings. One sunny morning, as Leo helped his mother water their vegetable patch, a familiar chirp cut through the gentle breeze. He looked up, and there it was, a swift, dark shape darting through the sky, just like he remembered. "Sky!" he shouted, jumping with excitement. The swallow swooped down, landing right on his shoulder, chirping a happy melody. It was Sky, looking healthier and more vibrant than ever. Leo hugged his tiny friend gently, tears of joy streaming down his face. But Sky hadn't returned alone. Tucked carefully in its beak was something extraordinary. It was a seed unlike any Leo had ever seen. It was round and smooth, a pale green color, and surprisingly large, almost the size of Leo's thumb. Sky gently dropped the precious seed into Leo's outstretched palm, then nudged it with its beak, as if urging him to do something with it. "A gift. For me." Leo wondered aloud, his heart swelling with gratitude. He knew, deep down, this was Sky's way of saying thank you. He looked at the seed, then at Sky, and a wonderful idea sparked in his mind. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to follow for the next part of the story. Hey everyone, and welcome back to our story corner. Get ready for a magical adventure that starts with a tiny gift from a little bird. Leo couldn't believe his eyes. There, perched on the tiny beak of his friend, Sky the swallow, was a seed unlike any he had ever seen. It was round, smooth, and the color of a pale spring leaf. And it was surprisingly large for such a small bird to carry. Sky chirped happily, nudging the seed towards Leo's outstretched hand. "A seed? For me?" Leo whispered, his heart thumping with excitement. He gently took the precious gift. It felt warm and alive in his palm. "Oh, Sky, thank you." Sky fluttered around his head once, as if to say you're welcome, then soared up into the bright morning sky to join its friends. Holding the extraordinary seed, Leo rushed inside to show his parents. "Look, Mama, Papa, Sky brought me a present," he exclaimed, holding it out. His parents gathered around, their eyes wide with wonder. "My goodness, Leo," his mother said softly. "What a peculiar seed." His father, a wise man who knew much about the earth, examined it carefully. "I've never seen one quite like it. It feels special." He smiled at Leo. "What do you think we should do with it, my boy?" Leo's eyes sparkled. "Plant it. We must plant it and see what grows." So, with his father's help, Leo found the perfect spot in their garden, right by the sunny riverbank, where the soil was rich and dark. He carefully dug a small hole, placed the pale green seed inside, and gently covered it with earth. He even whispered a little wish for it to grow big and strong, just like Sky. From that day on, caring for the mysterious seed became Leo's most important task. Every morning, before the sun was fully up, he would check on his special patch of earth. He watered it carefully, making sure the soil was always moist. He even talked to it softly, telling it stories about Sky's journey and the warmth of their home. Days turned into weeks, and soon, a tiny, vibrant green sprout pushed its way through the soil. It grew with astonishing speed, almost as if it couldn't wait to reach for the sun. The sprout shot up, growing taller and faster than any plant they had ever seen. Its leaves were broad and glossy, like polished emeralds, and its stem grew thick and strong, winding its way up a sturdy trellis Leo's father had built for it. Then, one sunny afternoon, Leo noticed a tiny, round bump forming on a thick stem. It was a baby gourd. But this was no ordinary gourd. It began to grow and grow, getting bigger every single day. It wasn't just big, it was enormous. It grew as big as a barrel, then as big as a small cart, and still it kept growing. Soon, it became so large that it rested on the ground, a massive, pale green sphere with shiny skin, almost glowing under the sun. Leo, his parents, and even the village children who came to gaze at the wonder, marveled at the giant gourd. It was truly magnificent, a gift from Sky, growing right there in their garden. They all wondered what could possibly be inside such a colossal creation. What secrets did the giant gourd hold? They knew they had to wait for it to fully ripen, but the anticipation was almost too much to bear. The day finally arrived. The enormous gourd, now a rich, deep golden hue, shimmered with a soft, inner light. It was ripe. Leo, his parents, and a handful of excited neighbors gathered around, their hearts thumping with anticipation. Leo's father, carefully, brought out a sturdy knife, its blade glinting in the afternoon sun. "Are you ready, my boy?" his father asked, a twinkle in his eye. Leo nodded, his own eyes wide. "Yes, Papa," with a deep breath. Leo's father gently pressed the knife into the gourd's thick skin. There was a soft pop sound, like a giant cork coming uncorked, and then a faint, sweet aroma filled the air. As the cut deepened, a brilliant golden light spilled out, momentarily dazzling everyone. Then, with a final, careful slice, the gourd split open. Gasps of wonder filled the air. Inside, nestled amongst soft, silken threads, was not just gold, but a dazzling treasure trove. Shimmering gold coins gleamed like 1,000 tiny suns, sparkling silver pieces twinkled like captured moonlight. And the jewels? Oh, the jewels. They were like tiny rainbows, emeralds green as summer leaves, rubies red as sunset, sapphires blue as the deepest ocean, all winking and blinking. Leo stared, his mouth agape. It was more beautiful than any dream, but he didn't think of fancy toys or grand adventures for himself. Instead, his kind heart immediately thought of his neighbors. "Mama, Papa," he whispered, "now we can help everyone. We can fix Mrs. Gable's leaky roof, and buy new fishing nets for old Mr. Finn, and warm blankets for the children in the cold houses." His parents smiled, their eyes brimming with pride. "That's exactly what we'll do, Leo," his mother said, hugging him tight. "This gift is meant to be shared, and share." They did. Leo and his family, with the help of their delighted neighbors, carefully brought the treasures from the gourd into their small home. They didn't keep it all for themselves. Instead, they began to give. They shared the gold with those who needed to rebuild their homes, the silver with those who needed supplies for their shops, and the shimmering jewels helped bring joy and comfort to the sick and the elderly. The village transformed, laughter echoed through the streets, and smiles blossomed on every face. No one was hungry, no one was cold, and everyone felt the warm glow of kindness that Leo's good fortune had brought. But not everyone was happy. In a grand, dark house on the other side of the river lived Mr. Grabbit, the wealthiest man in the village, but also the most selfish. He had watched from his window as the enormous gourd grew, scoffing at Leo's childish efforts. But when he heard the whispers of gold and silver and saw the sudden prosperity of the villagers, his eyes narrowed with envy. "A giant gourd, filled with riches," he grumbled, pacing his opulent living room. "And it came from a common swallow, that foolish boy," Leo nursed. "Humph! If a simple act of kindness can bring such wealth, imagine what my cleverness can achieve." Mr. Grabbit was not kind, and he certainly wasn't generous. He only cared about himself and his ever-growing fortune. He devised a wicked plan. If Leo got his riches from a swallow he saved, he thought, a cruel smile spreading across his face, "then I, Mr. Grabbit, shall get even more by pretending to save one." The very next day, Mr. Grabbit set out with a glint in his eye and a net in his hand, not to help, but to capture. He found a small, unsuspecting swallow fluttering near the riverbank. With a swift, harsh swing, he caught the bird, and with his own hand, he deliberately, cruelly, twisted its
You
tiny
are listening
wing,
to a story
making sure it was
on the
truly
8,000
injured.
Fairy
"There,"
Tales
he
channel.
muttered. "Now for the kindness part." He brought the wailing bird back to his mansion, not with a gentle touch like Leo, but with a firm, uncaring grip. He placed it in a gilded cage, offering it crumbs of stale bread and a tiny dish of water, all while grumbling about the inconvenience. He didn't care for the swallow. He only cared for the giant, golden gourd he imagined would soon be his. What do you think will happen next? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for the next part of the story. Mr. Grabbit, his eyes glinting with a greedy spark, had been watching Leo the whole time. He saw everything: how Leo cared for the injured swallow, how the bird returned, and how that amazing gourd brought Leo his fortune. "Aha!" he cackled, rubbing his hands together. "If that simple boy can get gold, then I, the brilliant Mr. Grabbit, will get 10 times more." He was too impatient to wait for an injured bird. One day, he saw a young swallow flying near his fields. With a cruel smirk, he trapped it and twisted its wing just enough to make the tiny bird cry out in pain. Then he put on his best act. "Oh, you poor little thing," he cooed, pretending to be its savior. He brought it into his big house, but gave it only stale breadcrumbs and a tiny, cramped cage. It was nothing like the love and care Leo had given Sky. He complained about the effort, but the thought of mountains of gold kept him going. When spring arrived, the swallow returned. It looked thin and tired. It didn't sing. It just dropped a seed at his window and flew away without a second glance. The seed was dark and shriveled, not bright and healthy like Leo's. But Grabbit, blinded by his greed, didn't notice. "Ha, my turn," he shouted. He grabbed a shovel and carelessly dug a hole, completely different from the gentle way Leo had planted his. He watered it sometimes, when he remembered, but somehow the seed still sprouted, and it grew and grew. But Mr. Grabbit's gourd was different. It was huge, yes, but its skin was a murky, dark green, almost black in places. Strange, pulsing veins seemed to move just beneath the surface. It didn't have a warm glow or a sweet smell. Instead, it gave off a faint, unpleasant odor, like damp, rotten earth. The villagers watched it from a distance, feeling a shiver down their spines. They knew something was very wrong with Mr. Grabbit's gourd. Finally, the day came. The gourd was massive, menacing, and ripe. Mr. Grabbit, his face red with excitement, gathered a crowd. He didn't want to share. He wanted to show off. "Behold," he boomed, "my gourd, 10 times bigger than Leo's. Prepare to witness true wealth." He grabbed a sharp knife and, with a triumphant grin, sliced it open. But there was no soft pop, no shower of jewels. There was a sickening, wet squelch. From the dark opening, a nightmare poured out. Hissing snakes with wicked, gleaming scales slithered onto the ground. Hundreds of scuttling centipedes swarmed everywhere, their legs clicking eerily. Mr. Grabbit shrieked in terror and dropped his knife. The creatures, as if guided by some dark magic, all turned their attention to him. The villagers screamed and ran, but Mr. Grabbit was trapped. The snakes bit him, the centipedes stung him, and their venom quickly spread through his body. He stumbled, cried out in agony, and fell to the ground, a victim of his own cruel greed. The story of what happened spread like wildfire, a chilling warning for everyone. Leo and his family, though saddened by the tragedy, understood the lesson. They continued to live with kindness, sharing their wealth to help their neighbors and make sure no one in the village ever went hungry. Sky the swallow often came back to visit, chirping happily on Leo's windowsill, a constant reminder of the pure heart that started it all. The village flourished, rich not just with gold, but with the priceless treasures of kindness, community, and goodness, proving that the greatest wealth is found in a generous heart.